Man, this is bullcrap. Why would they send me to a city that's full of nothing but cybernetically enhanced people and I have no enhancements at all? Well, I got this nice enhancement, but that's not helping me at all. I need a break. I need a drink. Oh, cool. Here's a bar. I'll go in here and see if that's something I can have. At least take the stress off me from all these cybernetic weirdos. Hey, man. Nice establishment you got here.
Hey, welcome to the afterlife, my brother. Looks like you could use a stiff one. I don't normally serve your kind around here. It's been a while.
What? What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Non-augmented, brother. Non-augmented. You're pure fleshy, my brother.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, sure, man. Whatever you think would be the best thing, man. Go ahead, give it to me. I'm in a mood.
How to make your own Johnny Silverhand. Get 20 ounces of aged tequila, 1 bar spoon of agave nectar, 2 to 3 dashes of Angostura bitters, some orange twist, some chili pepper, and 1 ounce of Mexican beer. First, rub the orange around the top of your cup, then roll the cup in your chili pepper. Then take 20 ounces of tequila and pour into a mixing glass. Add in 1 bar spoon of agave nectar and 2 to 3 dashes of bitters into it and shake and mix thoroughly. Pour in your glass, then top the top off with 1 ounce of Mexican beer. That is a Johnny Silverhand.
Here you go, man. Johnny Silverhand.
Johnny Silverhand, huh? Hey, all right, man. Thanks, I needed that.
You have a good one. See you later, man.
It's gonna be a good night now. Nothing's gonna bother me now. I got this.
Now you may or may not suffer from some very big hallucinations.
Say what? I don't care. I'm out here.
That boy has a snowball's chance of hell. I give him 5 minutes, if that. 5. Oh well.
Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and this is my review for Cyberpunk 2077. First of all, this review is based off a PS4 Pro final release version with the patches included. I'm not going to talk about my experience with the early PC version of this title, though it did help me to play through a lot of the content, and that's how I'm getting this review out so soon. This game was published and developed by CD Projekt Red and just released on December 10th of 2020 on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the PS5, the Series X, the Stadia, and PC. The only gaming system that currently don't have a version of this is the Nintendo Switch. Without spoiling anything of this game, all I'm going to do is say this. It's a first-person role-playing game set in Night City with 6 giant regions to explore where you play as V, a mercenary, and it is based off of Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk franchise. Now, right at the start of the game, after picking a light path, you get the create a player. And hands down, the create a player in this is insanely detailed. I'm going to show you very little footage of the create a player, mainly because I don't want to be demonetized. Because not only can you change everything from your hair, your looks, your sex, your voice, to everything, but like most people will tell you this, you can also mess around with your body parts, your sexual organs and stuff like that. Not that I understand why, since you really don't see them in the game. You're normally fully clothed, and other than, well, there are some experiences where you get to see it, but other than that, it's a rather insane create a player. But once you get done with your creative player and you pick your life path, which consists of 3 different distinct choices, which leads to where you start out in your game and how the story progresses, you can be a nomad, a street kid, or a corpo. And depending on which one of these you pick is how your main story will start and how it will lead into different missions, different characters you meet and know as you progress through this game. Now, along with this, you have multiple character classes, including Netrunner, which is meant for your hacking abilities, Techie, which is for machinery and stuff like that, and Solo, which is mainly your combat. Now, keep in mind, these naturally are completely upgradable when you go to a doctor, which is known as a Ripper Doc, throughout your adventure and get your body modified. And it's rather intense and detailed with sheer amount of options there, of course. Now, the other thing you have is your close-up melee, but I'm going to talk in depth about that a little bit later. Next up is the weapons, and the fact that, at least from what I noticed, there seems to be 3 main types of ranged weapons in this game. You have your power weapons, which I'm just going to say are the regular ones, your tech weapons, which have some really cool abilities like being able to go through walls and stuff like that, and my personal favorite is the smart weapons, with like homing bullets and also with the bullet time and stuff. It kind of reminds me of playing like Judge Dredd, double whammy. Seriously, it does. And those are my personal favorites in this game, are the smart weapons. And of course, much like everything else in this game, all your weapons can be modified, tweaked, and all customized. It's really intense, the amount of details that's in this title. And along with that, the giant game world itself naturally has a full day and night cycle and weather cycles that will actually affect the NPCs and other characters, which is really, really cool. But hands down, I think the deepest and most well-liked thing I experienced in this game is the branching dialogues. Now, what I mean by that is, not only when you start out picking a different life path, it'll lead you down a different path, but your different dialogue choices. Now, there are some, no matter what you pick, it'll still lead you into the same dialogue choice to progress the story, but there are a lot of ones that will actually drastically change your overall game story, which will lead to different characters that you meet, different missions that you do, and different experiences. I mean, on my multiple playthroughs of this game, I was able to have some drastically different things happen, meet different characters, play some missions with one certain character that I never even seen in the second playthrough, and it really led to a lot of replayability and a lot of different variations, which makes it a really unique experience for just about anybody who plays this game. Now, as for your main missions, you have your main story quests that as you play through them, it'll help you get different experience for stats for your character, and side quests that will help you gain more street cred, which will lead to unlocking new skills, different locations, vendors, and more. And the side quests, the thing is about any side quest in a CD Projekt Red game is they put so much effort into these side quests. A lot of them I liked better than the main story quests. And some of them can be downright funny too. And the only thing I can say is sentient vending machine. But honestly, along with that, you also have these sections that are like detective sessions. That imagine taking a cyberpunk version of the Batman detective scene, missions, and they play out a lot like that. And with the different technology you have, it's really cool and intriguing how they do it. And that's on top of everything else you'll come across, all these several different mini games that you can do throughout your experience. Everything from fighting tournaments, video games, roller coaster. There's all kinds of stuff in this game, and it's really quite a unique title. It's super dark and futuristic with a lot of deep lore in it. It's very disturbing with its violence and content, but it does fit in with the story. But I will say, personally, I find this to be more of a looter shooter than more of an RPG. Now, what I mean by that is there's a lot of role-playing game aspects, but there's so many different weapons and things that you pick up as you go through these levels fighting people. It came off more as a looter-shooter than it did a RPG. But don't get me wrong, that's just my personal experience, and it was still fantastic. And all kinds of different little Easter eggs and neat little nods I've noticed into this. I swear I found the bike from Akira. There's lots of tie-ins to Ghost in the Shell. I think I even found a car from Mad Max Fury Road. And another thing is, like, when you get to your apartment, go into the bathroom and look on the shelf. I swear those are the 3 seashells from Demolition Man. And now, as for total game length, this game will run you anywhere from 15 to 20 hours to go through just the main story modes. Now, that may not be that long, but the fact of the matter is, if you're a completionist and you want to do all the side missions, that's where all the meat is on the bone here, people. You can get well over 200 more hours easily from just doing the side quests and side missions along with the main story missions, and that's not even including the fact of the replayability to go back through to do different playthroughs with different life paths and dialogue choices to get the different endings. And you know, hands down, it is a massively full game of content. Now, my final thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077 are kind of intriguing. First of all, the game world, hands down, 10 out of 10. It is a beautiful, giant game world that is basically like playing a video game version of, the best Cyberpunk game ever. I mean, really, honestly, it is Blade Runner the game. It really is. The combat is so multi-layered and deep with the different weapons and your different abilities. It adds to so much variation in terms of play styles and replayability. The combat is fantastic, along with the story, which is super deep and great, and I'm not going to spoil any of it. It is a really intriguing story. I mean, honestly, if you're like, well, how come no one uses smartphones in this? They explain that. If you play through this game, you'll see. It's the lore is just so fantastic. The only thing that kind of bothered me a bit was the pacing of the game. It does have a lot of parts that seem rather slow paced, but with the different dialogue choices and everything else. But the fact of how fleshed out all these characters are and how they evolve over time, even though if you're expecting a Michael Bay explosions every 20 seconds, it doesn't have that. It'll have a lot of action and a lot of gunplay and some cool sequences, some great set piece moments, and a lot of combat and content. But it does have a lot of parts that can be kind of considered slow paced. Now, as for the endings, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to say I'm probably going to have a video in the future discussing about the different endings and what I felt about that. But like I said, this is a spoiler-free review, so I ain't saying nothing. Now, the one thing I say hands down has to be the worst aspect of this game, but don't get me wrong, it's still totally playable and fantastic, is the melee. Compared to everything else being so fleshed out and so chunky along with the weapons and so fluid and powerful and impactful with the gunplay and everything, all the other neat little mechanics, the melee just to me came off as being rather shallow, and that's even with getting your character upgraded. I did a playthrough where I was just strictly 100% melee, getting upgrades to my body with knives that popped out and using samurai swords and everything else, and I just didn't find the melee to be as satisfying as the gunplay and everything else was. It's still totally playable through the whole game, so don't get me wrong, it's not like the game's not functional. It's still great, it just wasn't as good as everything else in my personal opinion. Now, the other thing that can be kind of hit or miss for me is the voice acting. I mean, most of all the main characters, their voice acting is superb, even including Keanu Reeves' performance as Johnny Silverhand, but there are some parts in it where it seems like maybe they had just phoned it in, so to say, maybe took the first take that they had given on some of the voice acting, but generally I'd say about 85% of it, the voice acting is phenomenal. It's just that little bit that to me seemed a little off, but it still fit with the game. It still had, impactful, storytelling, so in the end, it's not anything majorly bad, but I still have to point it out, and it's still my opinion. Now, the other thing is the overall abilities. There are so many, and they're varied, and they're great, but the thing I kind of noticed is it seemed like some of them were just stat boosts of previous ones. Like, you'll unlock a certain ability, and it's like, wow, this is unique and cool. Honestly, it was very varied in terms of the overall abilities. But like I said, some of them just felt like they were just stat boost of previous abilities. And like I said, once again, it doesn't hinder anything from this game. But it's something that I noticed. And for how many different abilities you have, I'm like, okay, there's no way they could have made so many different unique ones. So it kind of makes sense. Now, the other thing is you have to remember, people, this is a current gen game. The ones that you're even playing on your PS5s and your Xbox Series X and your PC version are enhanced versions, but they are not the true next gen versions. CD Projekt Red even said that there will be a update down the road to give the true updated next gen versions to the people that have the next gen systems and the high-end PCs. Now, don't get me wrong, the versions we still got are quite great, and that leads me to the final thing that I have to talk about, and that is the glitches. Now, keep in mind, like I said at the very beginning of this review, I'm basing my review off of the final released store-bought copy version for my PS4 Pro, and not the experience I had with the PC when I got to play the early release version. Because the early release version did not have all the patches installed to fix the bugs, so it was a hot mess. It really was. The game didn't play well at all. There was lots of graphical glitches. There was glitching of characters. The guns would disappear, and that's why, unlike other game players who released their review early based off of their early release version, I'm basing my review off of the final patched version that just came out at release day. And I have to fortunately say that CD Projekt Red did wonders. They have seemed to squash about 98% of all the bugs. I haven't had any hard crashes. I have had a couple glitches, but compared to the PC early release version, this game plays great. It does have some, slowdown on certain scenes. So like I said, it's not still 100% fully optimized yet, and I'm sure they're going to have more patches down the road, but the current version I played seems to have fixed just about all the issues I've had with this title. And in the end, I would have to say, is Cyberpunk 2077 worth the wait? Yes, I would have to say it is, and it's personally one of my more favorite games I've got to play in a long, long time. Just the overall character development, the game world, the different abilities, the gunplay, the story, everything about this is top-notch, and it is a fantastic game that I can definitely recommend that everyone plays. What am I talking about? Y'all are already playing it. We already know this. The only thing I can say for you people with the Xbox Series X and the PS5, don't buy the PS5 and Xbox Series X version. Buy the PS4 version or the Xbox One version. You'll get a free upgrade. Seriously, save a little bit of money. Don't pay that extra money. But in the end, I definitely have to say this is a fantastic game. Well worth the wait. And I cannot wait to see how the multiplayer mode, when they add it, actually plays for this. This was Nate, aka Devil Dog. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like this review. Let me know in the comments which version you're playing on which system, what you think about it, your experiences. Have you dealt with any game-breaking issues, or do you have an experience similar to mine that seems to be fairly stable? Make sure to hit the like icon, subscribe to my channel, and remember, I always end my videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember, people, the devil is in the details. Peace out until next time.